for people who are using Windows, we are going to use a tool called NMAP. This is what it is there. You can search for it on the internet and try to download. We are going to use a tool called NMAP to try and apply it because it's not, NMAP is not your Windows, but we have a graphical user interface that we can use with that same unit. Is there anyone who has phone NMAP? You don't have PC. Okay, fine. Let's do it. So this is what the graphical user interface of NMAP looks like, right? But before we do anything, we need to find out what network we are on. We need to find out what our IP address is. Anyone knows what an IP? Okay, all of you know what an IP address is, right? Is there anyone who doesn't know? Everyone knows. So before we use NMAP, we need to find out what is our IP address and what network are we connected to. To do that, you just go to your command line interface. Yeah, so when you go to your command line interface, you write down this command called what? For Windows, you do IP or T. Okay? And enter. So that is what comes. Then you will identify all the networks that you're in. For example, I am not in Eduroam, but I have my internet here that is connected to my phone. This is my VMware. Shall we come up with it? Look at that VMware. This is the one that is connected to. Let's try and find the one that's connected to my phone. That one. So that's the IP address for my network. It's connected to my phone, right? I'm not connected to anyone else. So if any of you does anyone want to connect to my hotspots, I have to see what I'm doing. Anyway, let's push that for later. So now you know that this is your IP address. Yeah?
Yes.
Now let's try and use NMAP to see who else is on my hotspot. That is what NMAP does. You can just run a basic code using NMAP, and then you enter your target like that. And then sorry, that one scans the specific host, but I will show you how to scan a network. This one scans the host itself, like your target. Let me say you've gotten the IP address of person A, and you put it as the target. It only scans that one host, okay? And this is what it has told me. This is the information it has told me. This is the host is out, that means maybe connected, and then these are the open ports. Of course, if you scan my system, you won't see this open. And 95 of them are closed TCP ports, right? Does anyone have a question about what that means? I just explain it. The closed port, yes, it's a closed port, or it can also mean that there is a firewall that will not allow you to see if it's closed or open. There are two options. You can either bring closed or filtered. Yeah? Closed means it's closed. It's closed, it's completely closed. When it's filtered, it means there is like a guard standing at the door and it doesn't want to tell you if it's closed or open. That's usually the type. Yeah? And the ones that are open, now that is usually something that opens the device. If you have, is there anyone who is using a Windows 7? No one, thank you. Windows 7 has usually its default system, but then has a lot of vulnerabilities and open ports that are easily used. Now, if someone scans a Windows system, like a Windows 7 system, they'll find a lot of these ports open, but then they'll also be like weird things that are easily happening. You get? Now, can anyone search on the internet to tell me what the 135, because all those ports do different things. All those ports are different things. Now, like the 135 open ports, gives you that service, MRS, which is usually remote coding. Like someone can run a code on your PC remotely. And do you know how dangerous that is? Like if someone has access to that code, they can run a code on your PC remotely. If someone has access to that code and they know how to use that vulnerability, they can run it. Now, the next thing is also prevent virus access. And you can just search and find out what all those ports are doing. You know the port 80 does for HTTP, then the port 443 does for HTTPS and all these things. You can scan different networks, your own network, and find out what these ports are doing. So, what else?
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, just like she has introduced it, one thing that maybe I thought is a little important, because personally, my cybersecurity journey started directly with Linux, and it is what I use. I've never done cybersecurity with the Windows terminal. But the weaknesses with Windows terminal, like, it will limit you at some point. Because realize that right now, you're looking at ports that are open and those that are closed, but you're not certain of what hosts you're working with. Yeah, so hosts are the, should I say, the computers are connected. So if this phone is hotspotting a certain laptop, so the phone as the phone and the computer, both of them are hosts. One is primary, then one is primary, and then the other one is secondary. The one that is providing the, like, initiating the connection is what is primary. Yeah, so one thing you ought to know is that to go into the depths of the ports that are open, you know ports are services. And you should not be so excited finding some ports are open. Because after all, if at all a system, say a PC, is working, like you've opened Chrome, it implies that under circumstances that either HTTP is active. So you'll find that maybe port 80 is open, implying that that service is active. But then, in the first place, you're going to look at, I'm not certain about Windows, but with Linux, you work with either AppScan, the address resolution protocol. It is what is first of all going to give you the number of hosts on your connection. Before going into the open ports, I don't know if it makes sense. So right now you're seeing ports, but certainly you don't know, okay, I don't know if you guys are knowing where these ports are, like that service. I'm not. If this NMAP can perform literal as Windows, let me try to use it. Okay, so let me first. Okay, so obviously NMAP is network mapper. Network mapper is like you want to either locate your hosts or you want to do what? You want to address the network that you're working on. So you're going to have a number of attributes. The attributes are those different letters, and then everything means something. So SM is a short form. Okay, you're going to find a number of them. I don't know if you've heard about ping. PNG. Ping. Ping is packet grouper, right? So here at that point what you're doing is that you're pinging. Pinging is you send like a token or a message to the devices that are connected to that network. And you're trying to ask, is there someone? And that laptop, if at all there is no, if at all there is no, if there is no firewall, or let me say there is no sort of security on that network, that device, be it a phone, a laptop, it is supposed to send another message. That is a ping. Okay, the initial laptop sends a ping request and sends a ping response. Is that okay? So now this N is it is synchronizing with a number of devices. You're looking for the host. That is what SN means. Okay, let me first do what? Let me first continue. Then you ask. So 192.1. I hope you know the trivial, okay, the class, this is class C, right? Most of our, pardon? No, it is well. I want to do what? I want to work with a subnetwork. So most of our IP addresses, they run in that range. So one way to check the number of devices that are connected to you, because when you, let me say you have a router, you have your router, your phone providing hotspot is a router alternatively. And at that point, you expect it to, the router expects it to have the very first initial IP address. So this means 192.168.1.0/24, it is a subnetwork. That's a default connection. Like if at all, let me say, you get your phone, you hotspot a laptop, you hotspot another phone. Under most circumstances, this is the range it's going to work in. This may work or not, because it may or may not work depending on the type of the network. But literally, this should be in position to give you the hosts that are connected, if at all it is a normal connection. So it could not import all necessary NMAP. You're not using NMAP. Okay, the fact that this is not Linux, you won't find a lot of limitations. But if at all you're using Kali or any other security OS, let me say Parrot, it would list for you a number of hosts. You're going to find different what? It is. I'm not certain, okay, like I'm not good with this interface personally, I should say. But it is to display for you all of the IP addresses that are connected, the associated device with your network currently. I don't know if it makes sense. So before performing any scan of NMAP, you have to first find the host that you're going to scan. That makes sense. It's like you're going to make an attack. The first thing is that with cybersecurity, you perform information gathering. And one of the trivial tools, especially for networking, is NMAP. So you find out which hosts are connected. Hosts are the computers. I don't know if you're fine, like if we get it. You find out which computers are connected. If I thought maybe it is on a wider scope, when you're not dealing with these local networks, that implies that you're going to first, you want to use some tools, net scanner, let me say it's a website, you want to attack a website or something, you're going to first get the IP address of that website, then you scan for its open ports. Still NMAP comes in handy. But at the first point is, you first find out the hosts. Like you get the IP address for international networks, even websites. Obviously, a website cannot be private after it's going to be like used everywhere. The IP addresses will be easy to get. But for these other devices, you don't find security measures and all that. So you first of all look for the IP addresses of the devices that are connected. The reason why it takes long sometimes is that it is supposed to iterate through about 999 what IP addresses from 192.168.0.1, 192.168.2.3.4.5.6.7.8, then 16, like until it is 999. So if I thought it finds whether the gadget is not maybe strong enough or the network is having a lot of firewalls, it will take ages. That's where Kali Linux still comes in handy, because it will keep on getting over those hiccups. Does it make sense? Yeah, so that is the first step. After that, you're going to find IP addresses of the devices that are connected. Then you now go into the details or the intricacies of handling a single device. Now you get a single device, then you look for the ports. So what happened earlier when she ran the command nmap 192.168.227.1. That is an IP address that is associated to a certain host, most probably her phone, the one that is providing host. So, is that a phone? Yeah, it can't be the phone for one reason. Android uses Google firewalls. And I want to say that, okay, for my little experience, Google has the best. It is hard for that phone to be vulnerable to show you which ports are open, yet they are there. So Linux has tools like Armitage. Armitage has what we call, okay, their scripts are already written, most of them are in Python. For them, they can be in position to retrieve those ports even though they are not visibly shown. So for a laptop, it can easily display. Laptops are very vulnerable. And I want to say with the Windows laptop,